who really controls your thoughts? The shocking truth of spiritual warfare today. In a world filled with whispers, echoes of something dark and powerful surround us. What if I told you that unseen forces are controlling your thoughts, twisting your reality? Imagine waking up in a cold sweat, your mind racing with thoughts that aren't even your own. It's enough to make anyone question their sanity. Shadows flicker in the corners of your vision, figures darting just beyond the light. What's behind closed doors? What secrets lurk in the alleyways of your mind? The truth is there's a hidden battlefield. People are driven to madness by thoughts so foreign, they feel like parasites invading their psyche. Leah had always thought of herself as grounded and rational. But after that strange encounter at the old library, everything changed. Shelves of dusty books whispered her name, their pages fluttering like the wings of frightened moths. The librarian, with her eyes like black holes, warned Leah to keep her mind closed, to shield herself. "Don't let them in," she said, but Leah felt the irresistible pull of the unknown, the curiosity gnawing at her. How could she resist, when every night brought the same nightmare? A voice, smooth as silk, curling around her thoughts and leading her astray. "Just give in," it taunted. It wasn't just her. Friends opened up, sharing their own harrowing experiences, moments that shifted their realities beyond comprehension. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As Leah delved deeper, she discovered others just like her, people seeking answers, feeling the weight of unseen chains. Each meeting felt like a gathering of moths drawn to the flame, hearts pounding with fear and excitement. They spoke of rituals, strange symbols, and shadowy figures with too many eyes. What did it mean? Was there a way to fight back? The more they shared, the more Leah felt that familiar itch at the back of her mind, pressing inwards. And as she lay awake that night, listening to the whispering shadows around her, Leah realized she was standing at the brink of a precipice, one step away from tumbling into chaos. Could she truly break free? Or were the thoughts already winning? What awaited her on the other side? The answers clawed at her throat, desperate to be unleashed. Something shifted in the air that night. A chill ran down Leah's spine as she lay there, her heart hammering in her chest. The shadows danced mischievously, like children playing hide-and-seek, and she could almost feel their breath on her skin. Then came the whispers. Soft, insistent, tickling the edges of her consciousness. They spiraled into her thoughts, weaving themselves around her fears. Doubts coiled tighter and tighter until she felt she could barely breathe. Could she really fight what she couldn't see? Just then, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Leah snatched it, the sudden light illuminating her room in a harsh glow. It was a group chat notification from the others. They wanted to meet again, to dig deeper into the mystery that had entangled them. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Logic told her to ignore it, to run away from this chaotic tangle. But desire ignited a need for answers. She texted back, "When? Where?" Almost instantly, replies flooded in. A chilling sense of urgency buzzed through the digital messages. Now, tonight, at the abandoned church on Main Street. The place was long rumored to be cursed, a site of dark rituals and lost souls. The walls seeped in whispers of anguish. Leah's throat tightened. The librarian's words echoed ominously in her mind, "Don't let them in." But what if this was the key? What if she had to confront the very things that plagued her dreams? The push and pull of it settled deep within her, and she felt the darkness tightening its grip, urging her to follow the call. As she rushed out the door, the night wrapped around her like a shroud. The streets were empty, the air stagnant with an unnatural stillness. Each step felt heavier, like lead weight pressing down on her shoulders, pulling her into the very heart of a nightmare. When she arrived, the church loomed ominously, a relic of another time. Its walls were crumbling, and the windows, dirty and cracked, seemed to watch as she entered. The flickering candlelight inside cast long, sinister shadows across the cracked floor. She saw her friends seated in a circle, faces taut with fear yet lit with a flicker of desperate hope. "What if this is a mistake?" she blurted, her voice barely above a whisper. Janine, always the brave one, shook her head. "We need to know what is happening to us. If we don't confront it, it will consume us." Leah swallowed hard, looking around. The air charged with unspoken tension, the weight of secrets pressing in from all sides. As they began to share their fears, the room crackled with energy, each confession building an overwhelming storm. But then came the laughter, deep and foreboding, echoing from the shadows. It was low at first, but quickly ramped up to a sinister cacophony that reverberated through the church. The group fell silent, eyes wide with terror. Who was there? Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, cloaked in a mist of shadows, eyes gleaming in the candlelight. Leah's heart raced as she recognized the unmistakable silhouette. It was the librarian but distorted, her features twisted with malice. "Did you think you could hide?" The librarian's voice slithered into their minds, each word coiling tight like a python ready to snap. Leah felt a chill sweep through her, and the unexpected truth crashed down. They were not just outcasts, they were hunted. Now they stood at the very edge of an abyss, trapped between reality and the unknown, and Leah realized the battle was just beginning. What other horrors awaited them in this twilight world? Would they truly unlock the secrets or unleash a darkness beyond comprehension? The shadows answered with silence, leaving Leah trembling, waiting for the next move. Leah's blood raced through her veins, each heartbeat loud in the oppressive silence that followed the librarian's taunt. Around her, her friends looked equally paralyzed, eyes darting from her to the shadowy figure, then back again as if trying to make sense of the horror unfolding before them. "What's happening?" Kyle croaked, his voice cracking under the weight of fear. The librarian stepped closer, the shadows swirling around her like a living cloak. Her lips curled into a smile that sent icy fingers down Leah's spine. It was a smile too wide, too gleeful for what was happening. "Oh, you poor children, still so naive." Leah's instincts screamed at her to run, but something rooted her to the spot, an unseen force holding her in place. The flickering light of the candles illuminated the librarian's face, revealing the depths of her eyes filled with darkness, swirling with things Leah couldn't comprehend. "Why are you doing this?" Janine finally whispered, clenching her fists tight. "We don't want any trouble." "Trouble? But you've already stirred it. You opened the door." The librarian's voice danced with mockery, like razor wire. "And now, I shall take what is mine." "What are you talking about?" Leah interjected, her voice steadying as she felt a surge of defiance. It was a dangerous feeling, one that both excited and terrified her. "Your fears, your doubts, they call to the darkness," the librarian revealed, raising a hand that gestured toward the walls, where shadows twisted and crept like living vines. "And those that dwell within it are eager to answer. You summoned me, and now I bring forth the shadows you've tried so hard to bury." The unease in the room thickened, swirling around them like a fog. Leah glanced at her friends, each face displaying a mosaic of fear and anger. The lines between friend and foe blurred as realization struck her. Their deepest insecurities, the very things they shared in hushed tones, were now exposed, bulky and raw. "You don't have to listen to her," Leah shouted, her voice jumping to stark confidence. "We can fight this." Suddenly, came another echoing laughter, a chorus of whispers from the shadows that faded into ear-piercing cries. Images of their darkest moments flashed in her mind, Kyle's failure, Janine's betrayals, her own suffocating self-doubt. Each confession became a dagger, plunging deeper into the core of their collective psyche, and Leah felt the pain mingling with her resolve. "Together we have to fight together," Leah blurted, meeting the eyes of her friends with desperation, but the shape of the librarian shifted, morphing into something grotesque and unearthly. You think you can stand against me? You will just feed the flames. Without warning, the church quaked, dust and debris raining down from the ceilings. Screams erupted around them as flickering candles went out one by one, plunging them into darkness. The shadows lunged, rising up like monstrous tides. Leah's heart lurched. Form a circle. She yelled, racing to grab Janine's hand. One by one, they linked fingers, a fragile chain of hope against an impending storm. The librarian, now a swirling mass of shadows, loomed closer. You will regret this choice. The air crackled with energy, the room pulsing with an otherworldly tension, begging them to unravel, begging them to break apart. Now! Leah shouted, invoking everything inside her. Think of your strength. As they focused on their ties, the shadows hesitated, swirling around them, uncertain. Leah squeezed her eyes shut, envisioning light breaking through. The warmth of their bond. But would it be enough? Before she could process the answer, a deafening roar cut through the air. The ground beneath them split open, and an otherworldly light began to seep from the crevice, enveloping them. What horrors were coming? Would their united front hold, or would they be consumed by the shadows they so desperately aimed to fight? And in that heart-stopping moment, Leah realized this was only the beginning of a battle they never truly understood. The light grew brighter, a blinding radiance spilling over the edge of the crevice that had ripped through the church floor. It pulsed with the rhythm of Leah's own heart, both illuminating and ominous. The shadows hesitated, recoiling for just a heartbeat, almost as if they feared what was about to emerge from that abyss. Stay together. Leah shouted, clenching Janine's hand tighter. The connection felt alive, threads of warmth coursing through them, bringing a sense of unity against the encroaching darkness. The librarian's laughter receded momentarily, replaced by an oppressive silence that threatened to smother them. You think your bond can shield you? The librarian hissed, her voice echoing from all sides, a sinister whisper woven through the air. You are nothing but children playing with fire, and soon, you'll be burned. The shadows darkened again, swirling like a tempest around them. Leah could feel the weight of their fears creeping back into her mind. Each shadow whispered secrets, slithering into her thoughts like snakes. Remember the last time you tried to trust? How it ended. Look how quickly they abandon you. It was like nails on a chalkboard, each reminder striking harder than the last. Leah squeezed her eyes shut tighter, willing the darkness away. No. This isn't true, she screamed, but her own voice felt small against the overwhelming tide of doubt. Next to her, Kyle staggered, his face pale. I can't do this, he stammered, looking down as if the ground might cradle him in false safety. We have to get out of here, it's too much. Janine's grip wavered, her eyes darting around, scanning for an exit. Leah, what if we can't? What if it's too late for us? No. Leah's voice broke through the chaos, firm and decisive. You are stronger than this. We all are. As if propelled by her words, the ground beneath them shook violently. The fissure widened, and the blinding light erupted, illuminating the room and forcing back the shadows momentarily. Leah felt an instinctual pull, a magnetic force drawing her closer to the light. Embrace your fear. Feed the darkness. The librarian's voice rang out louder now, blended with the chorus of wails from the shadows as they clawed at their circle. You belong with it. But Leah wouldn't break. Her heart thundered as she thought about her friends, their shared moments, their dreams, their laughter. She felt light surging through her, a desperate hope igniting within. Focus. Leah yelled. Think of something that makes you strong. In an instant, she saw flashes of memories, comforting moments with her parents, laughter with her friends, each image pulsing with light. Kyle's self-doubt transformed to determination, Janine's body relaxing, tension easing as fragments of hope crossed her face. One by one, they began to remember why they stood united, not just in fear, but in love for one another, in courage forged through trials and tribulations. Leah's heart felt like it might burst. Together. We can do this. The shadows screamed as the light grew brighter, forcing back the encroaching terror. And with a snap, the invisible chains binding them broke. Each friend pressed forward, manifesting courage, light pouring from their combined will and ethereal energy solidifying into a shield, but just as they thought they gained the upper hand, a spine-chilling roar erupted from the expanding fissure, echoing like thunder. An enormous, shadowy claw reached out, glistening with malice, poised to shatter their protective barrier and pull them down into the abyss. Keep holding on. Leah shouted, but doubt loomed heavier than ever. Would their light be enough to fend off the darkness? With that claw descending, could their bond truly stand strong against the nightmarish force that sought to claim them? And as the claw cut through the light, Leah braced herself for a fight the likes of which they had never imagined, knowing with gut-wrenching certainty that the battle had only just begun. The claw sliced through the radiant shield like a knife through paper. Leah's vision blurred with terror. The shadows howled around them, a cacophony of despair that clawed at her sanity. She felt Janine tense, the warmth of her grip wavering as the dark abyss threatened to claim them. Stay strong. Leah screamed, her voice almost lost in the turmoil. But doubt seeped into her like a poison. What if their light wasn't enough? The claw, thick and dripping with a black viscous fluid, surged closer. Leah's heart raced, each beat echoing in her ears. In that moment, she realized what they were truly up against. This wasn't just a physical battle. It was a fight for their minds, their very souls. Kyle stepped forward, pushing against the oppressive force. Leah, if we're falling apart, we have to face it together. His voice, though shaky, held an unexpected strength. It flickered like a flame amidst the storm. Right. Leah rallied, an idea igniting within her. Think of that moment when we felt unstoppable. When we stood by each other. Remember our first camping trip? The campfire story I told? Janine's expression brightened amid the shadows. It was about the hero overcoming darkness. Her voice shook, but the spark of hope was undeniable. Leah nodded, urgency coursing through her veins. Yes. Let's pull it together. Spin those memories into our light. As the claw wrenched through the fabric of their shield, they concentrated, each breathing in deeply. Kyle's voice rang out, we can't let the darkness define us. Remember what we shared, our dreams. He closed his eyes, recalling every triumphant moment. Flashes of their past blended into the radiant light around them. Campfires, laughter, fights fought together against mundane fears, and promises to always stand united. The light pulsed again, brighter now, infused with their shared joy and vulnerability. The shadows hissed, furious at being pushed back. Leah felt the force of their anger, the sheer weight of their despair clawing at them like wild animals. But within the turmoil, she felt a deeper connection to her friends, a tether that anchored her. No loneliness could break the bond they shared. Feel it. Leah called out, voice bolstered by new strength. This is our light. Let it push them back. As if responding to her command, the radiant energy surged forward. The darkness recoiled, the fiendish claws weakening, giving way to a blinding surge of warmth. Together, they formed a swirling vortex of light that surrounded them, a protective cocoon growing more intense, repelling the shadows. But just when it seemed they had gained the upper hand, the librarian's chilling laughter echoed, piercing through the radiance like shards of ice. You think your bond is enough? It is but an illusion. You are not prepared for what comes next. With a sudden jolt, the fissure began to quake violently. The ceiling above them cracked, dust and debris raining down. The light flickered, dimming, as evil tendrils from the shadows twisted into the fissure, seeking the essence of their fears. Leah stumbled, feeling the ground shift beneath her feet. Hold on! She shrieked as she struggled to maintain focus. Behind them, the shadows grew thick once more. This isn't over. We have to hold on. But with the librarian's words echoing ominously in her mind, Leah couldn't shake the feeling that their light might be on borrowed time. Will we end up consumed by this darkness? Are we truly strong enough to withstand what is about to be unleashed? As the shadows lunged once more, Leah was hit with a horrifying thought. What if this battle wasn't just for themselves, but for everyone they loved? What if this evil, once unleashed, would spread like wildfire? And with that chilling notion, Leah knew they were on the brink of something far more catastrophic than she had ever imagined. The ground heaved beneath them, a treacherous wave that seemed intent on tossing them into the depths of darkness. Panic clawed at Leah's throat, the acrid stench of the shadows thick around her, stinging her nostrils. She glimpsed Kyle's expression wide-eyed, face pale just before a massive tremor rocked the fissure again. "Leah! We need to regroup!" Janine yelled, straining to be heard over the chaos. Leah nodded, but terror twisted in her gut. How could they regroup when the very ground they stood on threatened to swallow them whole? "Stay focused on the light. We can't let it dim." But even as she spoke, Leah felt the intensity of the darkness reach deeper, seeking cracks in their resolve. The whispers invaded her mind, planting seeds of doubt. What if they weren't enough? She could hear the librarian's voice echoing in her head, "Your bond is an illusion." The thought gnawed at her, more jarring than the deep rumble of the earth. With every passing moment, the shadows lashed out like a furious tempest. Leah squinted against the growing gloom. Just when the last remnants of their radiant energy seemed to wane, a flicker surged within her, bolstered by memories that fought to resurface. "Think of everyone!" Leah shouted, her voice a desperate plea. "Our families. Our friends. They're counting on us." The shared memories enveloped them. Friends laughing in the warm glow of bonfires, the delicious aroma of hot dogs roasting on skewers, the glow on their faces when they conquered fears together. Little snippets of joy and warmth ignited within the light swirling around them once again. "Don't let it drown you. Share your strength," Kyle urged as he too tapped into the well of their love. With closed eyes, they fought to weave the threads of shared joy into the fabric of their defense against the encroaching darkness. Suddenly, a deafening roar erupted from the fissure, primal and bone-chilling. Debris fell like thunder, crashing near them. Leah's heart lurched. The shadows merged, taking monstrous forms that loomed over them, grotesque and ravenous. In that moment, Leah realized they were not just facing shadows, they were battling the embodiment of every bit of doubt, every fear that had ever gripped them. Then, from the depths of the shadows, emerging like a phantasm, the librarian appeared. Her eyes glinted with sinister joy, framed by a terrifying smile that sliced through the haze. "You truly believe you can shield yourselves? You are but children in a world far darker than you imagine." But Kyle, emboldened, stepped forward, defying the fear etched on their faces. "No. What we carry inside our love far outweighs your darkness." The words rang out, an unexpected anthem of defiance, and Leah felt a flicker of hope at his bravery. The shadows recoiled momentarily, giving life to their light. It was fleeting, but for that brief instant, Leah dared to believe they could prevail. "We have each other. We are stronger together than you could ever understand," she shouted. The librarian's laughter tore through Leah, sinister and sharp. "You still do not understand. It's not just about you three." With a surge of fear, Leah realized the implications. They had awakened something larger than their individual struggles. Could it spread beyond this moment? Could it drag others into this void? The fissure trembled violently, shadows swirling like a vortex ready to consume everything in its path. The light flickered again, battling against the ominous tide. "Focus," Leah urged, a fierce determination igniting in her chest. "Think beyond us. Think of all our loved ones. We will not let them down." But what was this true darkness? What would it mean for the world outside if it broke free? And in that moment of resolve, a sudden roar erupted, shaking the very air they breathed. The final test of their bond had come. Leah's heart thundered as she sensed the impending dread. With all the darkness now converging towards them, she had one terrifying thought: what if the greatest battle they faced was not just to save themselves, but to protect everyone they loved from the shadows closing in on their very existence. As the shadows surged forward, Leah clenched her fists, bracing herself for a fight that felt far more monumental than she could grasp. The shadows surged like a tidal wave, cutting off any retreat. Leah's heart raced, pounding deafeningly in her ears. Fear twisted her gut, but she couldn't afford to falter. Not now. The librarian's mocking laughter echoed through the swirling darkness, her face a twisted mask of malevolence. Your love is a flicker in the void. It will extinguish. She shrieked, her voice slick with malice. No. Leah screamed back, her voice raw and desperate. It's not just about us. It's for everyone who believes in us. For every soul waiting for a glimmer of hope. The light surrounding them flickered in response to her cry, a fragile but defiant shimmer. Beside her, Kyle and Janine squeezed their eyes shut, summoning memories of bright moments. The laughter of friends, the embrace of family, those fleeting moments when life felt unstoppable. With every thought, Leah could feel the energy swell, a shared pulse of defiance pushing back against the clutches of despair. Then they heard it, a snarl, guttural and primal. The shadows coiled like snakes, preparing to strike. Leah's instincts flared, adrenaline rushing through her veins. Stay together. Don't break the circle. She shouted, grounding them in the moment. With a deafening crash, the ground beneath them split wider, revealing utter darkness, an unfathomable pit of despair that seemed to whisper their deepest fears. Leah stepped forward, her feet firm against the trembling earth. The darkness beckoned, seductive, promising an escape from the struggle. But with a mighty breath, Leah pushed against that pull. I want to let you take us. She cried. The defiance in her voice sent a shockwave through their bond. Kyle opened his eyes, their vibrant glow reflecting a spark of determination. Then Janine, her hands trembling but resolute, added her will to the chorus of resistance. Together. Kyle shouted, their voices merging, resonating with a power that transcended the shadows around them. The radiant light between them flared, and for a moment, the shadows shrank back, confused and angry, like a beast battered but alive. But the librarian's expression darkened, her smile morphing into a grimace of rage. Fools! You think you can defy me? You underestimate the shadows. Surrender and save yourselves. In that moment, Leah's resolve wavered. What if they were wrong? What if they sealed everyone's fate by standing their ground? The whispers of the shadows clawed at her mind, unraveling her thoughts. Uncertainty settled in her chest like a stone. Believe, Leah. Janine's voice cut through the haze. We have to trust what we feel. Our bond is real, stronger than any darkness. Something inside Leah sparked. Could it be? Before she could give room to fear, she remembered the faces of their loved ones once more. The joy and adventure that lay beyond this gaping maw of despair. She couldn't let that go. Imagine. Leah yelled, gathering every ounce of might within her. Imagine the light flooding the world. Imagine our friends and families standing beside us. Imagine love warming the hearts of everyone. Their light grew, a swirling mass of unyielding warmth that pushed against the encroaching shadows. The howling intensified, urgency palpable in the air as the librarian incited the shadows to retaliate. And then, all at once, the void let out a deafening shriek, a sound so piercing it shuddered through Leah's bones. The shadows lunged, dark tendrils reaching out, hungry to consume them. The fissure opened wider, the pull so oppressive it felt like drowning. Keep fighting. Leah urged, her heart hammering. Would this be the end? The darkness converged as if to swallow them whole, but in that moment, Leah felt something shift, a connection. A chorus of voices from the world outside echoed in her mind. Friends, parents, loved ones, all calling to her, urging her to hold on. But as she reached for them, a new revelation dawned. What if the darkness wasn't just out to destroy them? What if it had a far more sinister goal? The shadows lunged once more, and Leah braced for impact, overwhelmed by a single thought: what could possibly lie beyond this battle? waiting to be unleashed. Leah felt the relentless force of the shadows as they enveloped her, their icy touch clawing at her insides. Time seemed to stretch and twist around her, an endless confluence of fear and desperation. The roar of darkness was deafening, drowning out every rational thought in her mind. Stay focused. Kyle's voice broke through the tumult. Remember who we are. His words fueled her resolve, igniting a flicker of fire within her. Leah grasped for Kyle and Janine, feeling their warmth amidst the freezing tendrils of dusk. They formed a barrier against despair, an unwavering unity that radiated through the chaos, but the librarian laughed again, a cruel melody that echoed off unseen walls. Unity? You think that binds you? The shadows thrive on division, sweet Leah. And you're ripe for the picking. Every syllable dripped with venom, each word laced with creeping doubt. Leah felt the shadows testing the seams of their bond, tugging at the whispers of insecurity that had taken root in her heart. Was it possible they were fooling themselves? She could see shadows forming faces, distorted images of her friends, twisted memories of doubt, injecting the tiniest hint of panic. No! She shouted, willing her mind back to the light. They are not real. This is just an illusion. She squeezed her eyes shut, forcing herself to breathe. Yet, with every breath, the darkness seethed around her like boiling water. Janine's grip tightened on her arm. We can't just deny it. We have to confront it, she urged, her voice steady despite the chaos. Face your fears. They only have power if we let them. Leah's heart ached with fear and resistance. The ground beneath her feet felt like it was trembling in response to the weight of their choices. The shadows eclipsed every beam of light. She was terrified that if they lost this fight, the darkness would ensnare not just them but everything they held dear. Let us call to our light. Kyle yelled, and the power in his voice flooded Leah with a rush of courage. Imagine. Picture it. Our love is stronger than any shadow. We have to become the light. Leah visualized bright, vivid memories. The warmth of summer days, the sound of laughter, the joy of every shared moment. Each thought sparked more energy as if igniting a fire within her soul. With every positive image, she felt the light pushing back against the encroaching darkness, battling the suffocating fears, but suddenly, a cold, oppressive dread gripped her heart. The librarian's laughter twisted and danced around them, issuing a chilling challenge. Do you truly believe you can escape? I hold the very essence of despair. These shadows, they are manifestations of your own minds. The ground jolted beneath them, a seismic shift that threatened to swallow them whole. Leah felt reality refracting, tearing at the edges. It was as if their reflections were fragmenting, the shadows sealing them into a distorted reality that was all-consuming. Don't listen. Janine shouted, panic creeping into her voice. It's a lie. We are stronger than this. Desperation clawed at Leah as she fought against the oppressive merge of shadows and doubt. But what if don't doubt? Kyle's voice broke through the haze as their combined light shimmered against the dark tendrils that lunged at them. We can do this. We have to. The swirling mass of darkness surged with renewed fierceness, and Leah sensed something shifting deep within the void, a whisper of truth that beckoned. Could it be? As shadows danced in furious circles, Leah felt a stronger pull on the cusp of revelation. Her heart raced as she clung to her friends, realizing they weren't just fighting the shadows outside. They were battling the shadows within, the ones that whispered doubts shaped by their own fears. Could that be the truth the librarian feared? What lay ahead if they accepted it? Together, we unleash our light. Leah screamed, as tendrils reached for them in one final bid for darkness. Would they succeed, or would the truth shatter them from within? The idea was haunting, each pulse of their bond straining against the encroaching abyss. Leah felt the resonance of her own heartbeat pounding in her ears, a rhythm both frantic and fierce. The shadows surged around them, a dark tide determined to consume. She could feel the tension of Janine's grip, the strength of Kyle by her side, but doubt clawed at the edges of her mind. Was calling to their light enough? What if the darkness they faced was more than just a battle outside? Listen! Kyle shouted over the chaos. Remember the way we always face things together. We just need to believe in each other. The shadows twisted, mocking, their laughter circling like vultures. Leah's throat was dry, the shadows seeping into the recesses of her thoughts, whispering secrets of failure. What if we don't make it? They seemed to hiss, a dreadful chant that echoed through the void. No! Leah screamed, forcing conviction into her voice. She could not, would not, succumb to fear. I choose to trust. I trust in us. The words felt like a call above a raging storm. She focused, drawing in warmth from the memories swirling within her. The laughter of summer nights, the freshness of first love, each image a thread weaving together a tapestry of unwavering connection. Hold on to those feelings. Janine shouted, her voice rising above the tumult. Let them ground us. All three of them began to chant, an incantation of unity. The shadows recoiled for a moment, but the librarianess' laughter rang louder. Unity will be your doom. I will unveil your darkest fears. Invisible tendrils whipped at them, snapping against their skin like ice. Leah winced, feeling them inch closer, probing her insecurities. Formless figures slithered from the darkness, and she could see faces ones she recognized. Her parents, their looks of disappointment, her teachers, shaking their heads. Each figure represented her own fears, failure, inadequacy, betrayal. The complete disintegration of everything she once believed. Look! Kyle urged, pointing into the void. Face it. What it shows you can't hurt you unless you let it. For a fleeting second, Leah faltered, staring into the haunting eyes of her fears. But then she felt the warmth of Janine's hand and the solid presence of Kyle at her side. They were here. They could do this. Gathering strength, Leah drew on the most profound emotion she had, the love she felt for her friends and family. We're not alone. She yelled, her voice breaking through the clamor of despair. Together, we are unstoppable. Light erupted from their grasp, a blinding torrent that surged forth. The shadows shrieked, twisting and writhing as the brightness illuminated their contorted forms. They felt the forceful push of light battling against the encroaching darkness, the combined energy deflating the heavy weight of doubt that had settled over them, but the librarian's voice dripped with malice, resonating through the vacuum like nails on a chalkboard. You think you can triumph? Your light is merely a flicker. You know what truly lies beyond the truth is unbearable. Enough! Janine shouted, driving her fist into the air. You don't get to speak for us. We decide our truth. A surge of adrenaline spiked through Leah as their resolve strengthened. They weren't just countering an external threat, they were taking back control over their own lives, the shadows beckoning with a false narrative of defeat, but as they fought back, she realized something else was happening within the straining walls of darkness. Whispers began to morph into screams, shadows slashed at one another with abandon, fighting to maintain their hold. The ground quaked, the world around them beginning to fracture, like the surface of a cracked mirror. What is happening? Kyle shouted, eyes wide as reality shook. Stay together. Leah commanded, hearts racing as they gripped one another tighter. With every ounce of will, they pushed against the growing chasm pulling at their feet, aware that the revelations awaiting them might reshape everything they knew. What would happen if they truly accepted the crushing truths lurking beneath the darkness? The light surged brilliantly as they braced for the next wave, the unleashed shadows swirling violently in response. Little did they know, they were on the verge of discovering the terrifying secrets that could shatter their unity. Would they walk away whole, or would the shadows seize their fleeting hope? The shadows writhed, a churning mass of darkness that recoiled from the light they had summoned together. Leah's heart thundered in her chest, each pulse urging them to keep fighting, to keep pushing against the encroaching abyss. Kyle and Janine held her tightly, their hands warm and steady against the icy grip of despair that clawed at them from the dark. Focus! Leah yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. We have to remember why we're here. We're fighting for each other. The clarity of her words ignited a spark within them all. Each shared memory, every joyful moment, began to illuminate the dark corners of despair. Leah felt courage surge through her veins, mixing with the love she held for her friends. She could almost see it light swirling, wrapping around them like a protective cocoon, pushing back against the shadows that it was in that moment, amid the swirling chaos, that Leah had an epiphany. These shadows, they're just manifestations of everything we fear. They aren't real unless we make them real. What do you mean? Kyle shouted back, battling the oppressive weight of darkness that surged against them. I mean, we have to confront those fears. We have to own them. Leah's voice rang out with fierce determination. Let us each share what we see. It might take the power away from the shadows. With nods of agreement, they began to speak, each truth becoming a weapon against the darkness. I see my parents, disappointed, Kyle started, his voice shaky but resolute. But their opinion doesn't define me. I am more than what they think. Janine stepped forward, her eyes bright with conviction. I see my failures, but they shaped me. I want to let them drown me. I will rise above. Leah felt a chill run through her as she faced her fears. I've been afraid of being abandoned. But I refuse to be defined by that fear. I choose to believe in our strength. Each confession lit a spark, a radiant fire that pushed back the shadows. They were unleashing their truths, and it felt liberating. The shadows howled, recoiling momentarily as if they were alive, knowing they had been found out. As their confessions echoed in the vastness of the void, Leah felt the ground quake beneath them. The darkness twisted, morphing into grotesque shapes, seeking to regain its hold. But Leah and her friends stood firm, drawing strength from one another. Together. Kyle shouted, a rallying cry that reverberated in the churning air. We're stronger than the sum of our fears. The shadows screamed in fury, crashing against the protective barrier they had created. They pushed harder, the claws of despair clawing at their minds, but the trio stood resilient, bonded like steel. With the unity they forged, they focused their energy together, pushing back against the violent storm. Imagine all our loved ones. Janine yelled, her voice ringing strong as she concentrated on the faces of those they longed to protect. Imagine them standing with us. It was as though light surged from their hearts, illuminating the darkness like 1,000 bursting stars. The shadows writhed, thrashing violently, howling in agony as they began to dissolve. The librarian's twisted figure flickered, her expression shifting from cunning to fear, realizing the control she wielded was slipping away. Join me, and we shall conquer together. She hissed, desperation creeping into her voice, but Leah and her friends remained resolute. No. Leah shouted defiantly. We choose our path, not yours. In that final moment of defiance, the shadows convulsed, collapsing in on themselves as if struggling against the light. Leah felt the warmth of unity swell within her until it radiated outward, pulsing, crackling, growing stronger. With a final push, she channeled every ounce of love she carried for her friends, her family, for every soul that depended on them. With a blinding flash, the light exploded forth, a wave of radiance that washed over the crumbling darkness like a cleansing tide. The shadows screeched as they evaporated into nothingness, swallowed by the brilliance of their defiance. The librarian screamed, her form disintegrating, fading into the light as if the very fabric of darkness couldn't withstand their unity, and then peace. The church felt different. Rather than oppressing shadows, there lay a warmth in the air, calm wrapping around them like a soft blanket. Leah blinked, uncertain, but a rush of relief poured through her as she took in the sight of her friends, their expressions filled with joy and disbelief. We did it, Kyle whispered, disbelieving yet filled with a new sense of purpose. Together, Janine replied, her voice as light as the dawn breaking through the remnants of night. Leah grinned, her heart swelling. They had faced the darkness, confronted their fears, and triumphed. No longer just shadows, they had emerged resolute. The shadows wouldn't be vanquished forever, but they had reclaimed their power. As they emerged from the church, sunlight kissed their skin, illuminating the path before them, a future filled with promise. They had transformed their fears into strengths, forging an unbreakable bond. Stepping into the warm embrace of freedom, Leah knew whatever shadows lingered outside, they could face them together. Now it was time to share their journey, to remind others they were not alone. They could confront their shadows, as they had done, step into the light, and emerge stronger. Leah felt a surge of resolve wash over her. Let us tell everyone. We can do this if we believe in each other. Let us. Kyle and Janine echoed, the light of new beginnings blaring brightly in their hearts. They walked forward, hand in hand, ready to light the way for others. The darkness may always linger just beyond the light, but armed with their newfound strength and unity, they were ready to confront it as it came. They stepped into the future, each heartbeat a victory in the battle against the shadows, and you should embrace the call of courage to face your own shadows too. Live your truth, stand united with your loved ones, and banish the darkness that seeks to creep back in. And for more stories of courage and hope, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support to the channel. Smash that like button now, it really helps me reach those who need to hear this. Flood the comments with your thoughts, feelings, and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. Let us light the way together.